In today's video, I'm going to show you how to put down these beautiful sparkly mirrors. Hi everyone, it's Sarah and Ginger Cat from Sarah Homfray Embroidery. We are working on our little samplers today. We've got the one in the frame that you can do, or the same version but held in your hands. If you haven't discovered this yet, you can dive in at any time, learn lots of different stitches on these samplers. I'll put a playlist up at the end so you can catch up with that. So I'm going to do my Shisha mirror on this one in the frame, and then I'll show you the one in the handheld one as well. And I've also got some samples of different ways that you can put these mirrors down and different things you can do with them, so I'll show you some samples as well from my collection, and I'll point you to a playlist at the end which shows you how to put different shaped mirrors down. So there's a lot going on in this, so let's get going and show you the basic stitch. So this is a mirror I'm going to use. They're made for this purpose, to sew down. You can get lots of different shapes and sizes, but a round one is the most common. So I'm going to show you one stitch to use. There are several different ways of putting down. I find this one the easiest and a really good secure way of doing it. So I'm going to show you this one, and I'm going to do it in this position here. Doesn't want to see that, obviously. Go on. Found Jonathan's lap, more comfortable. So I'm going to start here, and I'll tell you why that is in a second. And I'm using a perle thread, so I find something that doesn't strand and something that comes apart a little bit easier, because we're going to go through a grid and you can get the threads caught. So something that's not stranded is a good thing to try and a good thing to practice with. Something that's a bit stronger as well. We're going to put quite a lot of force on this. I'm going to put a grid over my Shisha mirror. So I'm going to come just off the centre of the mirror, and you'll see why that is in a second. So I've gone straight across the mirror, but not right across the middle, just to one side of it. Doesn't matter which side. Then I'm going to come up on the same side, just off centre to that side. So I'm building this grid across it. Now I'm going to stitch around the grid, and we'll stitch the grid to the fabric, and that's what holds the Shisha mirror on. So I'm going to do the same horizontally as well. So just off the centre, straight across the other side. Now you can weave these over and under, but I don't find that's necessary because I'm going to put quite a lot of grid stitches on, so that might be another method you've seen, but I'm not going to worry about that. So straight across the other side. So I've got 2 grid lines that way and 2 grid lines that way. You will see the mirror when we put the stitches around the edge. These will all pull out like so, and you'll see more of the mirror. So don't think, oh, I'm covering up the whole of the mirror. What you don't want to do with mirrors is have them fall off. If you buy a cheap textile or something, the mirrors haven't been put on properly, they fall off pretty quickly. So we're going to do one that doesn't fall off. So I'm going to put 2 more lots of grid lines in. So what I'm going to do now is just come up on the edge there. Now I'm coming up, you see this little triangle here, there's another one here in each corner. I'm coming up on the inside of that triangle, not the outside of that. I'm not coming up here. That's in the square. I'm coming up on the edge of that triangle there, and we're going to go straight across the other side to the other triangle, which is here. So just inside that, I'm going to put one in that way, just inside that triangle there. I'm not coming here, that's too wide. So inside that triangle, across like so, and then the same the other way. So inside that triangle, straight across to the other side, to the inside of that one. Don't come to that corner because you're going right across the middle. You always want to have that middle square free of any stitches. So if at any point you're across the middle, just go back a stitch because it's not quite in the right place. So that side there, so inside that triangle, come up on the same side, inside the triangle there, across, not going across that middle square, and inside that one. So if you need to stop and pause that and rewind it and slow the video down, you can, just to check that those are in the right place, but just make sure that centre square is free of any stitches. Now a little tip for you here, change your thread at this point. Use one thread to put your grid down and another thread to do your stitches. Don't continue with the same one. If for some reason this part goes wrong, you need to take it out, then you haven't got to take all the grid out as well. So 2 separate threads for this. So I've started my new one, and you can come up anywhere you like on this mirror because it's round. I'm going to go all the way around back to where we started. So come up on the outside. Now you're going to put the needle in that square in the middle, and you're going to come back towards where that thread has come out. So that needle is coming from the middle out towards the edge of the mirror in line with where that thread has come out. And I'm going to go under the grid whatever threads are there under the grid. When we get here, we're going to go under those there, here under those there. So the important part is the middle of it and the edge. So don't worry too much about what's in between there. If there's a thread, go under it. So at this point, I've only got those ones to go under. So out where my thread came out, and I'm going to pull it to the edge of the mirror. This bit's important. Don't pull too tightly. If I pull too tightly, I'll show you. You can see how the grid pulls all the way over to here. This is what makes the mirror fall out. And when I get round to here, it'll be really tight and the centre of my mirror will be over there. So not too tight at this point. Just going to take up the tension. So that square just comes out to off square. Let me just loosen that so you can see. So there's my square in the middle, just so it's off square. Then what I'm going to do is carry that thread forward. I'm going to go around the circle this way. And then I'm just going to take it through to the back. So what we're doing is making a little shape like that around the grid. So we're going to do that again, so don't worry if you didn't get it. So now I'm going to come back. I went down there. I'm going to just come back on myself a little bit there. That's in between this stitch here. Come up, around, down, coming back in between that. And I'm going to do the same again. So needle goes in the square in the middle, it comes out towards that thread, go under whatever stitches are there, inside that loop, pull gently, gently, gently. So you've got the same tension. Thread goes forward, take it down to the back, and I bring it back up just behind that stitch. So they're just overlapping each time. In the square, out to the edge, inside the loop, pull gently on the tension, cross over, thread goes down a little bit ahead of myself, comes back in between those 2 points. It'll start overlapping with the previous stitch at this point, but it's about just getting a rhythm. I think don't worry too much about the accuracy, just try one first, practice the tension, practice the stitch. And you can see I'm using this variegated thread, so you can see the colour change. So that purple's gone around, down like that there. I'm going to come back up in the middle. It'll cross over, around, down, back up in the middle. So each one's overlapping the previous one. If you do that, you get this nice solid edge and your mirror won't fall out. If you're a little bit spaced out with these, you'll see the mirror at the edge. The mirrors are quite sharp. They will cut through your thread. So nice, strong, slightly thicker thread, really overlap those stitches in there. And then the mirror won't cut the thread. So I'm just pulling gently, and you'll see this grid start to move now. But as long as we've got a nice even tension when we start, we'll be able to pull this out to this side here. That will pull out there, that will pull out there, and then you'll be able to see more of the mirror, not so much of the stitches. So I'm going to do a little bit more. I'll go all the way around the other side, and then we'll have a look at that. So I'm nearly back to the beginning. I've changed my thread again because it does use quite a lot of thread, this. So if you need to change it, change it. Don't try and do one great big long piece because you will get in a knot. And you can see how the grid has just pulled out as I've come around. My tension's nice and even. So don't pull too tight at the beginning and then you'll get around fine. So I'm just going to carry on that last little bit. If you're left-handed, you want to do this, do exactly the same way, but you probably want to go clockwise. I'm going anti-clockwise or counterclockwise if you're in the US, but go the other way around. So go clockwise, but you're going, you're doing exactly the same thing, but just going that way around and not the other way around. So that's my tip if you're left-handed. Right, I've actually missed one of the grids there. So if you do that, can you see that? You'll be able to see that grid stitch. I'm going to just take that back one. So make sure you go around the whole grid. I have seen people do this and miss it out, and there's a great big stitch across the middle. And then they go, oh, can I just cut that off? I'm like, no, don't cut it off. It'll all fall apart. So make sure you go underneath everything. Cross over and back on yourself. So when you get back to the beginning, you need to make sure you just keep going with your stitches so you cross the last stitch with the first stitch. I'm going to put one more in under there. Make sure you come inside that loop. If I come under that, I'm not getting that crossover around the grid. So do make sure you come inside your loop. Thread goes over. I'm now going to cross that over that first stitch like so to finish it. And back to the beginning. You can have a little fiddle with it now and just space these stitches out. They will actually move. They should move. And you can just cover up any gaps. If you think you have got a larger gap and you want to put another stitch in, dead easy just to jump in there, put another stitch around the grid, cross it over, and you can fill in the gaps. So super easy to fix as well. There's a lot of stitches in this. You might see Indian embroiderers do this. I saw somebody on my trip to India and she put very few stitches in and whizzed around it, but I was like, it's going to fall out. So I put quite a lot of stitches in mine, but that mirror is not coming off. It will be there forever. So I'm just going to do a couple of stitches on this handheld one because it is just as easy to do that. A little bit harder just to maybe get the mirror started so the mirror doesn't fall off, but make sure you get your grid in nice and close and you should be fine. So just coming underneath that, pulling tight. Now this one you can do that in one movement if you want to, or you can go through to the back in two movements. So through to the back and then back to the front. But otherwise it's exactly the same as before. So you can do them in your hand, and I saw the Indian ladies doing it when I did my trip to India, sitting on the floor doing it all in their hand. So a good one to do in the frame or in your hand, but do recommend that you practice them first just so you've got the tension right, so it's nice and circular all the way around. So I've pulled some pieces out from my collection to show you what you can do with these Shisha mirrors. So in no particular order, you can see here we've got different shapes. So we've got square ones, we've got circular ones, there's small square, large square, we've got diamond shaped ones as well, and there's even a heart shaped one. It does work around the heart shape. The grid's a little bit different for this one, but we do have a video on how to do different shapes. I'll point you to that one at the end of this video, and then you can do stitches around it and you can make them decorative. You can stick on some sequins and some beads as well, so you can have fun making these really sparkly. This is one I actually did for a class, and we did a little sampler of different Indian stitches and Shisha mirrors. So again, we've got square. This one I've actually put the mirror on top of a piece of felt, so you can apply some fabrics or some felt and then you can Shisha on top of that, so you can add a bit of dimension to it as well. This one's got a nice version of a herringbone stitch around the outside. There's some beads on it as well. You can Shisha different things, so it doesn't just have to be mirrors. This is a little cabochon, which is like a jewellery fitting that would fit into something, so it doesn't have any holes in it, but you can apply the stitch to that as well. That comes up a bit, it's got a bit of dimension to it. What else have we got? Coins. You can Shisha coins. Quite a good way to practice. They do have a little lip on them, the coins, so it can be a bit hard to get the needle underneath, but there's a little coin in there as well, so you can have fun looking for different things that you can put down with this stitch and adding other stitches to it and other beads and sequins and other dimensional things as well, and really making these pieces pop and sparkle. So this is a bit of a different one here. This is one I did a while ago now, and this is using actual beetle wings. These are real beetle wings here. They're absolutely beautiful colour. These have been Shishaed in the mirror, so these wings would have been used on dresses in the 1800s, and they would just catch the candlelight and they would glimmer this absolutely gorgeous colour. So these ones I've sewn down by making a hole in, but these ones have got the Shisha stitch around them, and it's round at this end and pointed at this end, so you can get different shapes with your Shisha mirror. It doesn't have to be round or square. You can follow the shape of the thing that you're putting down, but again, lots of stitches. Make sure those are really secure in there. This is a little book cover that I made with some square ones. So I've just lined them up, put them on a piece of felt and covered a book cover with those ones. So you can apply them to things. You can apply them to bags and to clothing. As long as you make them secure, they won't come off. So lots of different uses for them. And again, I've added some stitching and some beads and some sequins as well. So you can add lots of things to these. And then this little one that I showed you at the beginning as well. So I've got a larger one in the middle. My Shisha stitch around the edge. I put some gold work technique around here. This is called essing. Makes little S shapes, looks like a little rope, but I put that around the edge. And then I've got some smaller mirrors here as well with the stitch around again, so you can build them up, you can make patterns with them, and again made a little book cover for a little sketchbook that I made. So if you want to have a go at these, we have more videos on it. We show you how to put down some different shapes. I've also got Caroline, my sister, showing you how to put them down in tambour work. If you want to have a look at that technique as well, you can see that playlist up here. And if you want to have a go at the sampler and learn some different stitches on the sampler, that playlist is down here. So do pop along and check those out. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you next time.